I'm Shane Nyland, and my co-host is Blake Musser. And these stories you're about to hear are from Weapons Company, 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, 1st Marine Division, about the events surrounding and directly from the mouths of the people who were in Ramadi, 2004. This is part 2 of our interview with Will Nackers from Mobile Assault Platoon 3. Yeah, just to pick your brain a little, I mean, it's like a week of time. Did you get a chance to talk to anybody, or were you just like literally sitting there by yourself in a rack, like staring at the ceiling, waiting for time to pass?
Yeah, exactly that. Like, I don't remember talking to anyone. Just the nurses coming in and changing my bandages. Like, that was really it. I do know, finally getting to the East Coast, that's when I think I took my first pain med, because the pain was starting to set in a little bit. But yeah, I don't remember talking to anyone. And I think that was the hard part for me, because I was taken away so abruptly and not getting a chance to talk to the guys afterwards. And then even when I got thrown back in the platoon, right, like, no one's going to talk about what we had just gone through and, whose story was what. But that's kind of, more towards the end of this thing. But what I appreciate now is hearing everyone's stories and putting the whole picture together. And that 20-year reunion being, so important, that I went to as well. Just hearing things that I never heard about, because, that day that I got wounded and we got taken off, they had other Humvees had pulled out to hold security while we attended to Sgt Conde and get me out of there. What that was one of the things that they had told me was, as they were waiting, can't think of his name right now, but he was away from the Humvee and he looked back and realized there was the IED, like the secondary IED, waiting for us, and he saw it buried next to the Humvee, and he told the Marine to get back in and drive to a different location. And as soon as he got in and closed the door, that thing detonated. And he literally saved that guy's life by just yelling at him, telling him to get back in the Humvee. And a few other things happened, obviously, after I was taken off and they had to get back to base. So yeah, I didn't hear, any of those stories. I didn't get debriefed, even the horrible, mental health stuff that they gave you guys towards the end of your deployment. Like, I didn't get any of that. It was literally rips from the combat field back into America. And then once I was deemed stable enough from Camp Pendleton, they're just like, go home. I'm like, okay. So going back home for a couple weeks, probably not a good idea either.
Right.
Because
So you're saying that after you had gotten better and were discharged from the hospital, they said to go home on like a post, like, for lack of a better word, a post deployment leave block.
Yeah, exactly, like 2 weeks.
Oh wow!
Because my parents did fly out. They met me at the hospital in Camp Pendleton, because they were there for whatever random general came to the hospital bed, and he pinned on the Purple Heart. While I'm laying in bed in the hospital, like super unimpersonable, like no idea who this general was. Obviously, that was just his job, right? Any Marine that comes back, they're gonna, give him Purple Heart or whatever. But what a shitty job that guy had to do. But yeah, so they did that. My parents were there, and then they're like, "Yeah, go home 2 weeks, come back." Because I had such a gaping hole in my leg, I had to do, I don't know, being in the medical field now, I don't know if this was the correct thing or just the military being the military is using me as an experiment. But I was instructed to do a wet to dry dressing twice a day. So you put a wet dressing on of gauze over the wound, it dries out, you rip that dry dressing off with the theory of it's going to grow back new skin every time you rip it off, basically like a scab, right?
What?
No, that's not appropriate.
Yeah. So,
Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
so that for a month, and I mean, the wound got smaller, right? Like, I guess
Yep.
grow
I bet it
back,
did.
but I think that was just like naturally healing itself, whether I did that or not.
You were what, 19, 20?
19.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just you're an extremely fit 19-year-old. And so you healed in spite of the bullshit that they told you to do. Jesus, man, that's terrible. I continue. I'm sorry. Fuck.
But yeah, so I did that for a month, and then got sent back to Camp Pelton with the wounded platoon, and we were just hanging out until the rest of you guys got back. But again, like,
what did the wounded platoon like? What's like? Was there a normal day, or like did you have responsibilities being back like that?
there was zero accountability. I think we just had to check in the morning.
Okay,
That was it.
that's
Yeah,
I'm sure that was great for everybody's morale too. I mean, that just sounds awful.
I'm talking about, in my head, I'm rolling through like this is the worst mental health situation I can imagine. But we've mentioned this before, on this podcast, but in conversation as well. It was so early in the war that no one knew what to do yet. And so we were the first that had really hit heavy, not the first, but we were in the early version of where all the Marines were getting hurt. So they didn't know what to do with anybody. I don't know if it's any better now, but it certainly wasn't good then. That
right.
sounds like a
sounds awful.
Yeah.
I was confused, right? Because the first thing I was told was, "Hey, you're good. Like you're not coming, or you're not going home." And so yeah, I was like, "Why am I at home?" They said I was supposed to stay there, and then obviously I never went back. But
right. Well, imagine what you're describing. There's no way that wound would have healed appropriately had they sent you back to Ramadi. Like you certainly couldn't have done wound dressing. You'd end up with some, who knows what the fuck bacteria you would have got, and you would have never healed.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even obviously once I took the month to recover that, they sewed it up, and then I still had to, rehab after that. So
I was going to say, how much did they send you to physical therapy and all that?
No. Once they did the month of, healing it out, then they finally, sewed it up. And I don't know what two guys were doing this in the hospital, but it was, I was awake. They allegedly used local anesthetic, around the wound. And for whatever reason, that stuff like lidocaine does not work on me. And so I was feeling everything. And what they were doing was burning off the dead stuff, and then they would sew it up as they went. But I was like, "Hey guys, like I can still feel this." And so they would give me a little more or whatever. I'm like, "Yeah, nope, still feel it." And so they basically just burned off my skin, sewed it up while I was awake the whole time. And then after that, it was just a matter of, getting strength back in that leg, because it had been so long since I've done anything. And I remember that being like the weakest I've ever been as far as like squatting and all that. But
yeah. So in general, did they have any follow-up for you? Did you see anybody 6-8 weeks out, or did they just release you back and like, good luck, we'll see if you have a problem?
Repeat that last thing you said.
I just said, was there any kind of follow-up after that medically at all? Did you have like a 6-8 week follow-up? Did they nothing, or did they just release you back and like, if you have a problem, we'll see you eventually?
No, they just released me back. As soon as you guys got back, I literally got thrown back into the platoon. And I remember like within a couple of days, we were already going on, long hikes with all of our gear and stuff. So yeah, there was zero, like, I was just going to the gym on my own, like just trying to get my legs stronger.
And did you end up with any residual deficits, or are you good now? I mean, I know you have a very physically active job now. So do you have any issues?
I still have pretty much a little hole there. You can see the scar on my knee, but other than my left leg will get a little numb if I'm like running for a long period of time or something like that. But yeah, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I mean, of all the things, that's not terrible, but that still sucks.
Right.
So just for clarity, I mean, so you had about, I mean, this is July 1 that this would have happened, right? So we didn't get back until the end of September. So we're talking like 3 months of you basically needing to figure it all out yourself once, less than 2 weeks or so of transition from Iraq back to the naval hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
But, man, that's crazy. Yeah, were you able to go ahead?
Other than like the initial them telling me I have to do the wet to dry dressings and then the surgery of sewing it back together, that was pretty much the extent of me going to the hospital or seeing anyone. I think they probably gave me antibiotics too, but
I mean, sure they did. Yeah, I can't imagine they didn't, or at least while you were in the hospital, they probably gave you some stuff.
Yeah, I think I remember take these pills twice a day or whatever.
Were you able to contact your parents between Iraq and seeing them at the naval hospital, or was that the first time that you guys linked up?
Yeah, I don't remember the first time I was able to like phone call home. If it was in Camp Pendleton or sometime between Baghdad and Germany.
That's fair.
Obviously they knew about it because they had to fly from, Wisconsin to California.
Well, they reach out. I just wasn't. We've talked before about how, we would try to, if you got hurt, you try to let your parent know if you could. That way they didn't usually get all the information correct in the first place. Unfortunately, my parents got a phone call. I didn't know that they were going to call them from when I got hurt. And so the way that it was described to them, I was hurt a little bit worse than I actually was. And so that was a stressful time for them. And so,
yeah, I think that's probably what happened to me too. Not that I remember.
So we get back, and I mean, we weren't back for very long, and then we went on post-deployment leave ourselves. Did you go on a second round of post-deployment leave when everybody else did too?
No, I didn't. I remember you guys got back, you went on your leave, and then, came back to work essentially.
That's fair.
That sounds like you get stuck on duty. Do you get stuck on duty every other day? Because that's what I would imagine.
Yeah, but they didn't have us do anything. Like, who was it that lost his eye pretty early on?
Worth? Yeah.
Worth. Like, I remember him being there, and a couple other guys, but yeah, at that time, it really wasn't. I mean, I guess there was a lot of wounded at that point that probably would have been sent back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of people I can think of just off, early days from weapons company, even like Worth, Holm, Hurley, Cohen from my platoon,
Riegelsberger.
Well, Riegelsberger stayed in the hospital quite a long time, but.
Oh wait, you're right. Yeah, he was really hurt. You're right.
Yep. Huh. Well, let's get you off of the terrible reliving all of your medical trauma. Thank you for sharing all that, because honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, you're the first person we've talked to that was evac'd off the battlefield, and I don't think I knew all the steps. I mean, I kind of did. I knew you fly to Baghdad, you fly to Germany, but I don't know. In my head, I envisioned there would be more communication, and I don't know why I thought that. I should know that the Marine Corps never does that.
Yeah, and I don't know that they knew what they were doing. It's like, like a couple of the guys who did get wounded. I mean, Sgt Conde initially being shot in the shoulder. I mean, he just hung out with us the whole time.
Right.
And finally, he got to the point where, he couldn't lift his arm anymore and he had to take a break. And then I have no idea where Cummings went. I don't even think he went to Baghdad and then ended up coming back. So,
Yeah, I don't have any idea. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, the only other person we talked to who had anything, and definitely not even close to the same, but Fuentes got some kind of thing in his eye and got evac'd and then came back, and his story's crazy too. No one helped him or talked him through anything, and he fucking basically hitchhiked a ride back to Ramadi on his own.
right.
So there was no organization or communication either.
No.
Well, let's try some happier times. Do you remember anything about good times with your platoon while you were deployed over there? Anything you guys were doing around the hooch or anything else?
Now we were always messing around, right? Like, because laughter, as we know, being in a stressful field is definitely one of the best things you can do. And we were always messing around, picking on whoever. Thank goodness we had Cox in our platoon because he was always a character jokester, stealing stuff from other platoons or the Army. I guess acquiring things, right, like TVs and Xboxes or whatever it was. I remember playing Xbox a lot, just hanging out in the hooches or whatever. One of the brownie challenges. I think this was after Cummings got shot, but he tried, eating more brownies than the other guy. Like whoever got sent brownies for a care package, were like, hey, instead of everyone, sharing these, why doesn't someone just try to eat the whole thing, on their own?
That's such a course. Of course.
Yeah, I forget who his challenger was, but eventually there was vomiting involved.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, and since we didn't have any kind of fucking decent food ever, eating that kind of heavy ass sugar load, I'm sure you threw up anyway.
Right.
Well, I remember I got baked goods quite a few times from my grandma, and unless somebody else had a better packaging system, by the time they got to us, they were so goddamn stale because they would get rebaked every time they were outside. They were being sent over in uncontrolled environments, and so
right.
They were so freaking stale. Delicious, stale, but
yeah. Don't tell Vigil this, but somehow he got chocolate covered bananas, and they were like intact. And I definitely stole a lot of those things when he wasn't looking.
That's awesome.
Because coming from Wisconsin, I had a really bad sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Like to the point where I was like eating toothpaste in boot camp and stuff. But those chocolate covered bananas were the best thing in Ramadi that I ever ate. I think that's all I remember.
That's fucking hilarious.
Did you have somebody sending you a lot of care packages?
Yeah, my mom and dad definitely sent me a lot. I know my dad would send me, the good stuff like the cigarettes. And my mom tried sending the chocolates, like you said. By the time they usually got there, it was just a pile of goo.
Yep.
That was just unedible.
Well, not unedible, just.
Yeah, I was gonna say more of a challenge.
Oh yeah, I don't remember eating it. Like it got that bad. Like this doesn't mean it tastes good.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
So
like the tough times of being in Ramadi, right? Like we had canvases for a roof, tarps. And I don't think anyone ever realizes that. Like we were just sleeping underneath the tarp while we're constantly getting mortared and being shot at by rockets. And I know one of the nights I was just dreaming, and in my dream, I'm in a house and this house starts exploding. And I wake up and obviously we're being hit by mortars or rockets, and one of those mortars hit right outside the wall next to my head. And we went outside and looked at it, and it completely destroyed the air conditioning. Luckily, it just hit outside the wall, right? If it would have been 3 feet in. Like it would have landed right on me. So
Yeah, you guys being the last hooch on the line, you got hit by 4 or 5 that hit right against the wall.
yeah, exactly. I didn't think about that. Yeah, we were the unfortunate ones at the end of it.
I mean, a couple people got hit multiple times, but I feel like you guys had a few. You had one that actually hit a truck, and then you had multiple times hit the wall. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just streaming.
What'd you guys play on? What'd you guys play on Xbox? I don't remember. See, what's funny is you guys all say you had an Xbox. I don't remember you having an Xbox.
Oh, maybe we kept it a secret then.
Yeah.
I think it was just Halo.
Nice. No, what I do remember is coming over every night for, I don't know, like a week. And we watched that. There was a sci-fi series called Firefly back then, and some goofy ass show. And I remember everybody was like, there was like 20 of us glued to a tiny ass laptop screen, and we were all as close as possible, and you could barely hear it. But we were still all like laughing our ass off watching this stupid space western.
Yeah, who's the crazy gunny we had? Always yelling at us for being like complacent and
You talking about
like,
your platoon commander?
it was like weapons company gunny.
Oh, Gunny Merarkey?
Yeah. I remember one of those days we were getting mortared walking back to the jaw hall, and I was just continuing to walk back to the jaw hall or back to the hooch. And I got yelled at. He's like, "Why didn't you run to the bunker and take shelter?" I was like, "No reason, Gunny. Like, just, don't care or whatever." And I know I got lit up for that. And I guess, being in his eyes, like, he doesn't want to lose Marines for no stupid reason. But just me not understanding that at the time. And another time, he yelled at me because I was walking back to the jaw hall, and there was an aluminum can in the road, and I walked by it, and he saw me. He's like, "Hey, Marine, why don't you pick up that can?" It's like, no reason, guy. And he's like, "That's integrity. Like, make sure you pick that can up." Like, knowing, obviously, maybe he thought I wasn't going to pick it up because no one was around, but I guess that was my first lesson of, integrity, and him telling me about that aluminum can sitting there.
I mean, while we did police call Hurricane Point, probably more than we should have, that whole fucking city was covered in trash. You were probably desensitized by that point.
Yeah, that's you, right?
That's crazy, man. And so I'm trying to remember when you came to the unit. Were you late to us, or did you come right after Okinawa, like in August?
Yeah, I was one of the brand new guys. So I was boot camp, school of infantry. I got to 2-4, and we deployed a month.
Oh,
after that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then you got to stick around for the next deployments, the next 2. So you did 3 deployments probably.
Yeah, we did Okinawa, and then we went back to Iraq to Barwana.
Yeah.
Barwana, I need to do.
Did you just do the one tour too, or did you stay in longer than that?
Yeah, I did my 4 years. I had gone in with the idea of doing 20 and retiring. But after that second Iraq deployment, and never having dealt with the emotions of everything, it was never about us dying. It was about, I don't want to see another Marine get hurt. So I think that pretty much forced me out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously I did 4 years and got out too. And that's definitely a sentiment shared by a lot of people.
Were you saying something about Easy Street?
Obviously Easy Street was April 6th. There's a street named Easy Street in Simi Valley, California. And every time I go by that street name, like it triggers me a little bit, and it takes me a second to be like easy street. Like why is easy street triggering me? It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's strange how your brain makes connections sometimes and for really no reason. And for me, it's a lot of times it's those smells, especially when we go out to Vegas in the summer and it's in that open sewer hot smell.
Yeah.
Man, that's brings me back to memories.
Oh yeah.
But I was going to ask, after April, then the big battles, you kind of jumped straight to July. During that in between time, there was a lot of, as we said before, it's, day taskable, night taskable, QRFs and whatnot. But we did a lot of runs out to different bases and stuff like that. Do you have any memories of hitting any of the bases around and any of the specific missions of escorting anybody?
That's what sounds Shane. Like I really don't remember anything between April and July. Few recollections of the Army shooting at us with Abrams and like actually shooting at us with like the tank. But yeah, other than that, it was really, I think, kind of run of the mill stuff. Actually did come to mind being an 0351, an anti-tank assaultman, right? Like that was my MOS. That's what I got trained to do. And part of that is you get the small rocket, you get the javelin missile, and you get C4. Well, going through training with C4 was like, that was one of the funnest times I've had because essentially in the end of the class, the instructor would go like, we taught you a few different skills, but you can do whatever you want with C4. Like your mind is your imagination. It's like, oh, this is great. Like we can take C4 and do whatever we want. Like we were breachers, right? If you look all the way back to World War II, Vietnam, those were the guys that were clearing concertina wire. They were the ones with the torches, the flamethrowers. But now, back in 2004, we're, small town Iraq, there really wasn't much work for breachers. So, and it was unfortunate by the time I got wounded and sent home, I didn't get to use a javelin at all. And then I remember hearing back from those guys. I think I called them a few times, but they're like, yeah, we finally fired a javelin and one of the vehicle IEDs. And they're like, oh man, like so bummed I wasn't there to get to shoot that. But then you fast forward to like Ukraine and we're giving them out for free. Kind of disheartening, but anyways, we were meant to be breachers, right? I remember we had shotguns with special shells to breach doors and all this stuff. And we did do quite a few, raids in the night. I remember Intel, giving us names or whatever, and we having to go to those houses and try and find them, and realizing pretty quickly that Intel is really not smart at all. But one of the nights, they're like, all right, this is the night. Like there's a gate we have to get through. We're going to breach it. Like I was going to be the one with the C4. We were going to go up, breach the gate, and then go into the house. And then like right before we're about to step off, they like take the C4 away. They're like, nah, you're not doing this. We got Army EOD that's going to do it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like all this training, all this workup, finally get to do my job. And you just punted it off to the Army.
Fucking cock blocked by the Army.
Right. Which was probably the smarter choice.
Well, I am curious, how are you going to do it?
How was I going to breach the gate?
Yeah. What were you going to use? You need a whole block of C4? Or are you going to wrap it in deck cord? What were you going to do?
Oh, yeah, it was just C4 deck cord. I was going to strap it to the gate and walk away.
Nice. Did you have a whole block of C4 or had you cut it down?
They just gave me a box.
That's awesome.
I was probably going to use the whole box.
and possibly why they decided to be like, you know what? you know what? We're gonna.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was probably the same night that's the house we went to. Like they reached the gate, we go in, and again, there's nothing. Just obviously the male in the house and has no idea what's going on, no weapons. So there's definitely a lot of that, in between that point.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a time somewhere there in the middle, and I don't know the exact time frame, but they were paying for tips, right? And people were just snitching on their neighbors that they didn't like.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'd go and fuck up some of their shit, and they'd, which ended up being stupid because then we would pay the homeowner for anything we broke. And so,
Right.
so really, like they were trying to punish their neighbor, and we ended up giving them free money. So
Yeah, those doors we were giving a lot of money for like doors.
way more than that door was worth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic.
It was like couple $100 for, it was like the equivalent of like couple $1,000. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Cool,
what do you
man.
remember of some of the early transitions? So, we got over there and we didn't have a whole lot of our own stuff, tactics and whatnot. Do you have any memories of how any of that shifted, how you guys deployed yourselves differently as you had your engagements?
I mean, as far as like when we were there or like leading up to it?
Well, so here's like an example that a lot of people said, like, kind of like you were saying, it seemed run of the mill until about April happened. And then it seemed like a lot of people were like, oh shit, I probably need to do XYZ different. So for my example, personally, I only carried 6 mags up until April 6th. And then after that, I carried as many mags as I could physically carry on myself and get my hands on. And I had more loaded mags in the truck because 6 mags was not, it strangely didn't last very long.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just me but I only had 6 mags with me.
Really? Yeah.
But I think because I was given the ACOG, my specific mission was more of a sniper role, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, you felt like a designated marksman essentially.
Yeah, so I think in my head I'm not laying down suppressive fire by any means. And so even like the day that we took, contact on the left and everyone was laying down suppressive fire, I was specifically looking for targets and not just, firing off my weapon. So I think I had more discipline, I guess, in the sense of I'm not just going to shoot at random. I think he's there. I'm going to have an actual target that I can see.
I know Sledgehammer really focused on getting Overwatch like hard. Like anytime that we had any kind of, we knew we were going to be anywhere for any period of time, we would make sure that we've got our ACOG up top. Was that the case for you guys too? Did you?
Yeah, that's definitely what it was. And so whether I was, disengaging in the initial assault and then trying to get, somewhere up top quickly, and then usually by that time, Nick Kelly would have mowed them all down with the Mark 19 or Pepper with the 50 cal. So
did you go on like with the same person most of the time? Did you have a process, or was it just whoever else was with you? You just ran up to the highest point you could?
Yeah, I don't specifically remember, who it was, whether it was Vigil or, Sgt Conde a few times. But rolling back, just, giving more props to Sgt Conde and his leadership, being a brand new, Marine, I got meritoriously promoted in boot camp to PFC. I got meritoriously promoted to Lance Corporal in the School of Infantry. And, I get to Sgt Conde and Weapons Company, and we go for a hike. And basically he made me realize, like, hey, you're nothing. Like, if you're not, physically in shape, you're not motivating your guys, you're not a leader, essentially. And he was the best at, displaying that, lead by example and all that stuff. So they had recently gone through training, whether it was him or a few other guys, from map 3, but they had that close combat quarters training.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he did that too, but
some of it came from gunny Merarchy, but I think with Conde specifically, because he came from security forces, he had gone through a few more advanced schools than other people did.
Yeah, I think it might just specifically him. But yeah, so he had all that knowledge, and he trained us very well for just the muscle memory of things. And I think that was another reason why I think I didn't waste a lot of my ammo a lot of times, just because even like a tactical reload, right? Like making sure you always have more rounds in the chamber when you can.
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, if I did need more, magazines, like I'm supposed to reload these things from the ammo can into my magazine. Like that's gonna take forever. So I try to keep it, I guess, the shooting to a minimum to make
Nice.
sure I get what I was shooting at. And I forget how many guys, or I think we all did. We put the 5 tracer rounds at the top. So when we were doing night missions, we knew like where you were shooting at.
I had mags loaded specifically like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not all of my mags were that way because, I mean, the old adage was tracers work both ways. They show everybody where you are and show them where you're shooting.
Yeah. I had my own count of how I had mine. And so I like to have 3 at the end. Just so I had a reminder that I was running out. I know Gunny was always honest that you should know what your count is, but I didn't count. And I just needed when I saw tracers coming out, I knew it was at the bottom of my bag.
Yeah.
That's a good tactic too.
I feel like what's funny is now this gets into like almost superstition because it seems like everybody had a different little thing. Because Randall had a thing where he was like, every 3rd round was a tracer or whatever. He had some other weird thing that he had in his mind, which I don't know. Anyway, it worked. Doesn't matter what it was. It worked for everybody.
I also had one dedicated magazine completely filled with tracers. And I had that one because I got stuck one time trying to explain where I wanted everybody to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And like, for whatever reason, people would not listen to where I was anyways. And so I was like, and then I did use it a couple times. I was like, this one, and watch the tracers there, shoot there.
Yep.
So.
Right. No, yeah, I think I just kept to the standard of put 5 at the top.
Nice.
But yeah, I was always very in my head focused about, clearing rooms and, being the designated marksman. But those were kind of my tactics that I was just focused on.
It sounds like you spent most of the time as a dismount. Did you ever switch it up? You ever ride in the gun or drive at all?
No, because I think also being a 51, being close to the javelin or having to use that if we needed to.
Yeah.
That being my other responsibility. So.
Actually, I'm curious, and you may be able to answer it, or maybe you may not remember. But so I was a tow gunner. We didn't have tow missiles when we first got there. We didn't get them until the 7th. So the firefight happened on the 6th, then all of a sudden on the 7th, we got tow missiles. Did you guys start out with javelin missiles, or did you get them afterwards?
Yeah, I want to say we definitely got them once we were established in Ramadi. Like we definitely did not have them going into Ramadi.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
I remember them showing up and everyone was like so impressed. Like, this is $100,000 missile. Like, you're not even going to touch it.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, we strapped it to the top of our Humvees so they could be shot
at. That's awesome.
Yep. Here's this $150,000, $200,000 sight, and here's this $100,000 missile. Please shoot at it. I think I remember somebody dropping a javelin unit off the bridge one time too and breaking the sight. So we definitely did our damage of the javelin system.
No, just the tough times of Ramadi. A lot of guys talk about being in the high backs of Humvees, like the ones from original Desert Storm or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And originally going in with the mindset of, we're going to make friends with these people. So we didn't really think too much about armor on the Humvees until we started getting hit by IEDs and like, this isn't really fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, just being in a high back with zero support around us on the sides and just being the normal, sheath of a Humvee vehicle. And then at some point, we put at least sandbags in the bottom of it absorb it a little bit, but yeah, just all of that, like going into that Ramadi and not really knowing what we were getting into, and them actually adapting quite well to our tactics and how we do things.
Yeah, the enemy was anything but stupid. They definitely watched.
Yeah, for sure. I remember one of our night missions when we went out. I think it was on a full moon, but I don't remember the name of the NVG that I had, but it was just the single one for one of the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And we had Neil as our driver, and he was just that Marine that, no one liked. He was always a mess up. Could never get his shit together. Whatever reason he was driving, like, it's like, what skill do we get this guy that he's not going to kill us or himself? And I guess driving was the safest thing for him.
I was gonna say, I don't know if that's the case, but that's yeah, I can see how that decision would be made.
Right. But anyway, so we're going out on this night mission, and I got my NVGs on, and we leave the gate. And I really can't see anything with my NVGs, and so I take them off because it's a full moon. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll see better with just the natural light. And again, like, still can't see anything, just the reflection of the moon and the light. And so I'm like, if I can't see anything, like, I know Neil can't see anything. And so I sat right behind him, and I was like, Neil, like, do you see anything? He's like, no. I'm like, are you serious? Like, you're just hauling. We're going like 55 down this road, and he can't see anything. And then shortly after that, we end up like missing the road and going into the median where there had been a previous IED detonation, and there was a huge divot in the road. And so we hit this thing. Luckily, we didn't flip the Humvee, or no one got ejected. But he slams on the brakes. I remember Sgt Conde ripped him out, threw him on the ground, was screaming at him. The other guy jumped in and started driving. Yeah, like, just like those things. Like, if it wasn't the enemy killing us, it was us doing not so tactically smart decisions.
We had a way.
Right.
So going back to some of the hooch life stuff, did you have a couple people that you tended to try to play the Xbox with, or try to go to the gym or chow with in particular?
No, I don't remember. Like, we were the new group, so it was me, Kelly, Gentile, Cummings, Daniels. We were all the boots that came together, and so I think we just hung out if we weren't being hazed by the senior Marines. So probably like Kelly was talking about, like, we probably just tried to hide as much as we could to stay away from the riffraff. But
hazing's just another way of saying I love you. So.
it was nothing horrible. It was just the typical good stuff. The famous picture I remember, I think Cox made the death dealer's sign on the piece of wood.
Oh yeah.
And we all had our shirts off, and we took the big group photo of that.
Yeah.
I think which ensued into some type of wrestling match after.
Undoubtedly.
There was always a lot of those, right? Guys wanting to fight each other.
You got to get out that testosterone somehow, man.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping your skills up. No, definitely the sitting up on being on Haditha Dam and going up on the dam on the bridge, and just Overwatch on those nights. Like, those are always, for whatever reason, interesting. I don't think they're ever really dull. I know one time I was up there with Gentile, and he said he had to take a shit, and I was like, yeah, go for it. And he obviously leans out over the railing to do it. He's like, man, I forgot that you pee when you take a shit. And so he essentially, pissed all over his pants. I was just laughing hysterically after he had told me that.
It's funny. Those are the things that I miss. I don't know about you, but it's stupid shit like that. That's really funny.
Yeah, I don't remember. Actually, I do remember going to the gym a few times. Being like, it was just super hot in there and miserable. But I don't remember making that like a regular habit.
Yeah, there were some dudes who went every day, and some guys who gained weight even while we were over there and got bigger. And that certainly wasn't me. But
yeah, that was probably a more appropriate response to the cortisol buildup and the
yeah,
stress response.
yeah, it definitely was a more mature response.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, the heat in general. I do remember driving and just feeling like we're in an oven, and it was like that hot. And we had a couple hoops come through.
yeah.
Just complete blackout with the sand and the windstorm. So those are actually pretty interesting to go through.
Yeah,
I remember the one that the windstorm came through and then it rained behind it, and so it was literally raining mud.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and growing up in the desert, because I grew up in the desert, I remember making all my guys wear face masks and not breathe in the dirt. And I remember going to, I don't remember which platoon it was. I think it was map 1, maybe. I don't really remember. But they didn't do that. They were all out running around in it like idiots and breathing in all that shit. And all of them got just ridiculously sick. They were all coughing up all kinds of green shit for a week. And I was like, yeah, man, it's dirt. You're not supposed to breathe that in. Well, dude, we're getting on a couple hours. You got any other reflections you can think of?
No, I just want to point out the fact, like, I know you guys are doing this, and I think this is really great, and I appreciate you guys doing it. But just the fact that it's been like what we went through didn't really get recognized. Actually, I have a new guy working for me right now, and my driver mentioned, I was in Ramadi or whatever, and he was like, "Yeah, you're in Ramadi." I was like, "Yeah, you've heard of it?" He's like, "Yeah, of course." I was like, "Oh, you probably heard about the time of, Jocko Willings and him being there and all this stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, I was there before, all the cool guys showed up. And, we were there when, I think I would say the worst of it for sure." And you look at our statistics, right? And us to this day being the company that lost the most Marines, had the most wounded, since Vietnam. I think that says a lot. Not that we were incapable of, the mission tactics at hand, but that's just the difficulties we were dealing with and the changes of war that we were dealing with. And I can't think of, a better group of guys I have not seen since that point of just the leadership that I saw, everyone helping each other out. And one of the things that still sticks in my head today is one of the times we were at, the police station. We started taking fire from one of the buildings, and it was as soon as we heard the shots, every single Marine turns in that direction, goes in that direction, and is returning fire. And those are the things that you just can't really teach and you can't train. And I don't think you're going to get a better group of guys for that time frame to have gone through all that. And hearing stories of some of these young Marines that are just getting out now or have gotten out, and the Marine Corps just seems so boring right now, and the lack of leadership. So I feel like the time frame that we went through is just, it does need to be brought up, and we should make sure this story gets out and people know about it, because I'm super proud about it, and everyone that we served with, and carrying on the legacy of those guys. And Sgt Conde, I definitely do that with him because he meant a lot to me, and everyone that lost their lives. And again, that 20-year reunion that we went to, like, that was very beneficial for me, and I wish I had gone to the 10-year one, but we'll definitely go to the 30-year one again. Just being with all you guys and hearing the stories, and again, still hearing different views that I haven't even heard about 20 years later. So
right
I
on.
wanted to kind of leave with that. And again, thank you guys.
How'd you come up with constant combat? How did you name the podcast?
That's a very good question. We threw around about 50 different ideas, and we wanted something simple that would be lightly eye-catching, but also be accurate. If you look at the statistics, there was a small skirmish almost every other day for somebody in weapons company. As far as incoming fire coming in, there was incoming fire minimum of 3 times a week, and most weeks it was 4 times a week. There was always somebody engaged from weapons company basically every single day. And so it seemed like the most appropriate title at the time.
Yeah, I definitely can get behind that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do remember the sign, the big sign said "Complacency kills."
Yeah. Picture right in front of the COC. I have a picture of that.
If you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe for future episodes on your favorite podcast service.